Hi everyone, my name is Elizabeth Sennett, and the story I'm going to tell you today is called A Big To Do About Nothing, and it's about me when I was in preschool, a zip line, a new word, my father's sense of humor, and how sometimes little things can get blown way out of proportion. So, without further ado, I shall begin. When I was a little girl, I went to a preschool in Southern California called Magic Years. But I was a very hyperactive and impulsive little kid, so I got in trouble a lot. And as a result, it made my experience there a little less than magical. However, the school had a really awesome playground with a zip line that took off from a tree house, and riding that zip line was my favorite thing to do. It's also the reason why this incident occurred. Okay, so here's how it went down. One day, I was patiently waiting in line for my turn to ride the zip line when this kid, Ryan, who was much shorter than me and a real brat, tried to cut in front of me. Well, I decided that I just couldn't have any of that. I had been waiting for 2 whole minutes. So I told him that he couldn't just do that. People were waiting in line, like me. He had violated the zipline code of conduct. So, in response to my statement, Ryan said something to the effect of, "So what? Make me." But in 4-year-old speak, so it's probably more like, "No, my turn now." And he pushed me. Well, I, being the lady that I am, shoved him right back and, for my piece de resistance, called him a midget, a word that I had recently picked up while watching TV. Now, at the time, I didn't realize that midget was an offensive word, although I'm pretty sure I had an idea. I just knew that it was a word for people that were really small, and Ryan was much smaller than me. So he seemed like the perfect candidate for me to try out my new word on. Well, of course, Ryan went and told our teacher, Miss Campbell, what happened. Now, Miss Campbell was always a very serious woman and not exactly my biggest fan. So, naturally, Miss Campbell took Ryan's side, and she wanted me to apologize even though he started it. Naturally, I refused. So, Miss Campbell dragged me into her office and made me sit there while she called my parents to tell them what their difficult child had done this time around. First, she tried to call my mom, but she couldn't reach her. So then she tried to call my dad. Now, my dad at the time was a CFO for a really big healthcare system. He's a numbers guy, very logical, matter of fact, but he is not without a sense of humor. And surprisingly, he picked up the phone and said in a very curt tone, "Mr. Sennett?" Well, Miss Campbell, wasting no time, got straight to the point. "Mr. Sennett, I have to speak to you about a very serious matter regarding your daughter, Elizabeth." My dad said, "I'm listening." So Miss Campbell delivered the news. "Well, sir, she called a boy a very inappropriate name at school today." My dad said, "Which was?" So Miss Campbell, for dramatic effect, said, "Well, sir, she called a boy a midget." And my father, to his eternal credit, said in a completely dry, matter of fact, serious tone, "Well, was he short?" Miss Campbell was taken aback. She didn't know what to do. So she said, well, I suppose, yes." And so my dad said, "Well, then I fail to see what the big problem is. Sounds to me like she used the word correctly for the most part. I think the fact that she learned the word and tried to apply it at her age is rather impressive, don't you?" Miss Campbell was not impressed, and she said, "Sir, that's not the point." And my father said, "Well, when you get to it, call her mother. I think you've wasted enough of my time today." And Miss Campbell said, "Well, I could say the same to you, sir," and hung up. Well, in the end, Miss Campbell and the boy's parents made such a big stink about it that I had to apologize, even though he never apologized to me, and he started it. But in the end, my parents and I have gotten more than a few laughs out of it over the years, and I never called Ryan a midget again, until now. All right, thank you guys so much for watching my performance. Cheers!